Hi everyone! In choosing the title of this video, I used the phrase two-part ideas instead of words such as dyad or double stop, as many of Scofield's two-part lines appear to have a contrapuntal basis. While the following examples are all taken from different harmonic contexts, for ease of discussion I've presented them in the key of C major. This means, for example, that a two-part idea played by Scofield over a major chord will be shown over C major 7, a minor example over A minor 7, and 2/5 progressions will always be D minor 7 to G7. Any chromaticism in the original solo will also be transposed into the key of C major. To highlight the contrapuntal nature of these examples, instead of simply labelling notes as, for example, the 3rd, 7th or 9th degrees, a method which tends to give all of them equal harmonic importance, I'll also use labels such as anticipation, passing and neighbour note to describe the note's behaviour. In other words, if I label this A flat as a neighbour note, I'm not saying that it shouldn't also be heard or labelled as the flat ninth, but I'm simply drawing attention to its motion. The following examples contain several techniques which seem to underpin many of Scofield's two-part ideas. One prominent technique is the embellishment of an underlying harmonic interval, often comprising notes from the underlying 7th chord. Here, for example, the harmonic 6th between A minor's 3rd and 5th degrees is embellished by a D note moving as an appoggiatura to C. A similar move occurs here where a 6th between G7's 5th and 7th degrees is embellished by an E note moving as an appoggiatura to D. In both these examples, the appoggiatura sounds together as a 7th with the lowest note before descending to form the 6th. Here also, along with the 7/6 move, Scofield inserts a G moving as an incomplete lower neighbour note to A. A more literal presentation of the 7/6 move can be seen here, where B, G7's 3rd degree, is resounded in the same register, while the A flat moves as an appoggiatura to G. Use of a different underlying harmonic interval can be seen in this example, where Scofield uses a harmonic 3rd containing C and E, the 3rd and 5th degrees of the underlying A minor 7th chord. The harmonic 3rd is preceded here by a vertical 4th containing A minor's 9th degree B, which moves by step as an incomplete lower neighbour note prefix to A minor's 3rd, and A minor's sharp 6th degree F sharp, whose move to E is displaced up an octave. Displacement of a note's motion can also be seen in this example, where the harmonic interval of a 5th containing A minor's 3rd and 7th degrees is preceded by a vertical 10th, with the move from D to C displaced down an octave, while the note B moves up an octave, sounding a 7th with the C. With the octave move of the B and its interaction with C, perhaps Scofield intended to create more of a 9th sound, in which case we could also hear this figure as a move from D to C, with the B sounding as a pedal. Pedal ideas in which the same or similar repeated notes are used can also be seen here. This example again uses 7/6 moves, with the initial 7th sounding the 3rd and 9th degrees of the underlying C major 7th chord. To create the following 6th interval, however, the D moves as expected to C, but the E descends by step to E flat, with both notes then sounding as an anticipation of the 5th and 7th degrees of the following F7 chord. Over F7, the D of the E flat D 7th interval may be heard as an upper neighbour note to C, creating again a 7/6 move. Similar to the last example, over 2/5 progressions, Scofield will often form a pedal using common notes against a moving line. Here a 7/6 basis may again be understood, despite D minor 7th root note not literally being present in the texture. In other words, using a common note as a basis can generate ideas even when the common note is not literally present for the whole duration. In this example, f, the third degree of d minus 7, and the seventh degree of g7 is used as a common note over which Scofield repeats this 7-5 move, sounding the ninth and seventh degrees of d minus 7 and the 13th and sharp 11th of g7. In these examples, the common note is literally repeated. Here, the repeated G note unites all three chords of the 2-5-1 progression, sounding respectively the 11th, root, and 5th degrees, while here the same idea is only used over 2 and 5, sounding the 5th and 9th. Finally, this example uses many of the ideas we've covered, and I'll include it as a PDF on my Patreon. Scofield begins here with a vertical tenth in which he's raised the F, implying D7 harmony, the secondary dominant to the following G7 chord. He then uses voice exchange to move the F sharp to the upper line, and the G, sounding initially as a passing note, he moves down an octave to sound here as an anticipation of G7's root note. The vertical interaction of the G and F sharp notes creates a seventh interval, which moves to a sixth between G7's root and 13th degrees, with the upper line then continuing on to D and B, G7's fifth and third. In the lower line, G7's root note also moves on the final eighth note beat of the bar to G flat, anticipating the third degree of the following E flat minor 7th chord. In the beginning of the next bar, the G flat note sounds vertically with F creating a seventh, which moves to a sixth on the third eighth note beat of the bar, with the move to the E flat note being embellished by D flat, moving as an incomplete lower neighbour note prefix. In this way, Scofield cleverly underpins this line using two 7-6 moves a semitone apart. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.